Joel Weinshanker.
Thank you all for coming. I'll apologize right away because Tom would be a much better host for this, but I just felt that this had to be about family because y'all are part of our family, and Lisa was family. She was Elvis's daughter, his protector, the person who really and truly cared just about what was best for Elvis and what was best for Graceland. So tonight you're really going to hear everyone who's coming up on stage is really part of family, part of Lisa's life, part of all the good things that happened. And even now when we talk together, we come up with different perspectives and different thoughts. And before I introduce someone who is just so important and pivotal in Lisa's life, I'm going to leave you with something that one of Lisa's friends, who I actually met at her celebration of her life, came up with, put to me, which was just so profound, is that Lisa was to her children like Gladys was to Elvis. She was just so protective and so loving, would do anything for her kids, and gosh darn you, if you did something wrong to her kids, you had to watch out. So I just want you, there's a lot of things to think about because I think Lisa had been portrayed in many ways throughout the years, but even from the time that she was at Graceland as a child, she was so protective of her dad. Just everything that we do at Graceland, even the things that you see that we're going to do in the next 5 to 10 years, you can be pretty certain that Lisa had a part in it, that she had a thought about it, that she had an opinion on it, because Lisa had opinions on everything, and that if we're doing it, we get questions on, who's going to steer the ship, who's going to be talking about what's right or wrong, what are we going to be too corporate? We've got a great roadmap, and we're going to be doing a lot of great things at Graceland. Lisa came up with a number of the ideas. She was part of it. And Riley has really, and I talked to Riley this morning, and she said to say, hi y'all to everybody. And just like Lisa, Lisa never wanted to be the center of attention. She was so thrilled to come to birthday, and she, if you were here, you saw it. She signed every autograph. She took every photo. She stayed until the last person was satisfied, except the guy who wanted like 30 signatures. But everyone else, she stayed because, it was about the fans. It was about her dad. So she never wanted to be on stage. Riley, even though she's an amazing actress, and congratulations on her Emmy nomination for Daisy Jones and the Six, which is just phenomenal. She's very smart, very aware, very on top of things, has her own opinions, and we have I've had a lot of interesting conversations with her over the years, just as I have her mom. So Graceland's in good hands, Elvis is in good hands, and tonight we're just going to talk about, life and really celebrate her life with some people who are just really integral and super close to her. So I just, the first thing I want to do, whenever I come up with who was important to Elvis, who was the person who never wanted anything from Elvis, who never exploited his relationship with Elvis for his own benefit, I always come back to the same person, and that's Jerry Schilling. And, when I was choosing a list of who to speak at her celebration, there were some people that were just no-brainers, and I just want to remind everybody, this is Jerry speaking at Lisa's celebration.
And a girl named Memphis.
I always call Lisa Memphis. She had that attitude. And she always called me Jerry Schilling, always in that cadence. Her son, Ben Storm, did the same thing. Jerry Schilling. In 1967, Elvis invited me back here to Graceland for Christmas and New Year's. As I was leaving to go back to LA and back to work, he looked at me and he said, "You're not going to stay for the birth of our daughter?" I said, "I guess I will." So I was here until February 1st. Still got my job. We got back, so remember we got back to the house here, and I had never held a baby before. And we're in the kitchen, and Elvis just hands me Lisa. And I sure as hell wasn't gonna drop her, you know? And that was the beginning of my journey with Memphis. Neron, it's wonderful that you're here too, my friend. We spent a lot of time together in her childhood days. And as she grew up, one Thanksgiving Day at her mom's, she said, "I need to have a meeting with you." I don't know, she was 18 or 19 Presley, you know. And so I said, okay. So we went to an exclusive place, the Hamburger Hamlet. And she said, "I need a job." And she said, "I know people don't think I'm responsible, but I really am." And God bless her, she really was. She became my secretary, and any time you said that, she would always correct me. "I'm your assistant." We started working out of my home. I had a couple of other people, Emily Kuroda, that was in my staff, and then we eventually moved to offices on Sunset Strip, where she had many responsibilities, one of which was to answer all the phone calls that would come in to me. And I don't know, about every couple of weeks, she would come in, very disgruntled look on her face. "Somebody else wants to talk to you about Lisa Marie." They had no idea they were talking to her on the phone. So we had fun with that. At the time, I was managing another Memphian, if you will, Jerry Lee Lewis. And Memphis was the only person I knew who could intimidate Jerry Lee Lewis. So, Danny, you may remember this. After a Jerry Lee Lewis concert one night, we went to dinner at Les Dômes, and she said, "Jerry Lee, what's this I heard about you ran into the gates of Graceland?" It was the first time I ever saw Jerry Lee Lewis speechless and nervous. But she could do it, she just had that way. As Lisa's first manager, I always, from the garage music you guys did, Danny, I always believed in her as both a singer and a songwriter. One of the very first songs she co-wrote with Danny was called "Give Me the Strength," which has a special meaning always to me, and especially today, because I think at that young age, it was almost the gospel feel that she knew she would need strength to go through life. I was also honored and proud when asked to perform Lisa's wedding, Riley Ben's wedding, more recent, Navarrone's wedding. So I have a nickname within the family. They call me Rev J. I would like to end with, recently on a Sunday afternoon, after she had left Memphis on her father's 88th birthday, she asked me if I would walk her on the red carpet to the Golden Globes the following Tuesday. Afterwards, as we walked to the car, the last thing she said to me, "Jerry Schilling, I love you." As I was in the hospital with her father, when Priscilla was giving birth, I was at the hospital with her mother when she left us. Memphis, I will always love you. Thank you.
So, as with their celebration, I think we're going to try to, beyond this, just don't make it sad, because that's what Lisa always would have wanted.
Exactly.
And, you know, I think we want to start this, you know, we're at Graceland. Graceland is really the, you know, the center of the universe of everything Elvis. So why don't we talk about, you know, the things that we remember about her at Graceland?
Well, you know, obviously the first thing I remember was driving her home from the hospital. And Lisa was, you know, Lisa was a very strong individual, as you know, even as a little girl, except when Elvis was around. They had a real chemistry. When I think of Lisa, one of the thoughts that come to my mind is we came off of a tour, and she was like 3 years old or less, and it was like her mother brought her to the airport, and we were going down, and I saw this little kid running, crying. She was to see her dad, and he picked her up, and I went, oh my God, now I know what a father-daughter relationship is. But you know, I'm so honored to be here. Thank you, Joel. It's a double celebration and a double sadness because we did lose Memphis this year, but Graceland, you guys, and the spirit. And all the body of work of Elvis is going to keep this alive for a long, long time. And I'm proud to be here and see all the love, you know, that comes here with the fans. And I understand when I was working for Elvis, we had to get to an airport. We had to catch a plane before he had his own plane or whatever. And he would stop, he would sign autographs and do it. And I said, we gotta go, you know. And then after we lost him, and I got to know fans, I understand, and I feel the same way of that love. And that's the most important thing, you know. So I'm proud to be here. You know, the most time at Graceland, I had lots of great times with Lisa, but I just wanted to say one thing because of what's going on in Hawaii. And I spent so many years with her in her home in Hawaii, and I had special times. She was a very, as Joel said, she was a very protective mother, and that what Billy said was I never thought of, but yeah, she was protected. But I became real close with Ben Storm, and you know, Lisa never got over that. You know, it's just been such a roller coaster, so many highs, you know, with the movie and, you know, Austin, you know, he gave Lisa so much support because, Joel, you know, she was very fragile after Ben. And so the movie really helped, and the cast that Baz put together.
And even with the movie, because, you know, you get some people who they take a check and they'll support anything. Lisa was initially very, very concerned about the movie. I had to really talk and walk her through a lot of it. We were very cautious and careful about what we would approve and wouldn't. Baz was a doll and a dear to work with because we had so many concerns and changes. But she was never the pushover. But you know, the taking a step back from something that you said, you know, I can't tell you how many people today told me that they feel that Graceland's like family. That when you're here today and you're walking today and you talk to people, that it really does feel like a family. And from the beginning of her life to 3 days before the end of her life, what made her feel good, what made her feel safe was Graceland. That Monday before she passed away, the Sunday, you know, she was in the best mood that I had seen her since Ben had passed away. She sent me text about how much she felt loved and how she felt appreciated, and how, you know, she never wanted to do anything after Ben passed away. But I really pushed her to come to Graceland for, you know, for birthday, and then we flew to LA and we were at a party with Austin, and I think you were there, right?
Yeah, that's
some Formosa in
Formosa Cafe.
There you go. And you know, she had such a great time, and I think it was actually you who told me, because I didn't even realize that I had become the hovering parent to Lisa. But even at the party, I was hovering 10 feet behind her to make sure that she was okay, which she was. And, you know, Riley was there, and Austin was there, and Baz was there, and obviously Jerry was there. But from the beginning to the end, with all of the issues that she had in her life, it was Graceland that really gave her strength and happiness. And we'll talk about many of those things that are happening in the hour. And you know, Jerry's going to talk about the Presleys' love of Hawaii.
Yes.
And we will talk about later in this program, because hopefully everyone knows that every dollar that we generate from this today is going to charity. It's going to go to both Memphis area charities as well as the Red Cross of Maui. The amount that I was given that we've raised today is $34,450. But in Lisa's name, I'm going to match that.
Oh.
So, you're all coming here. We raised almost $70,000. You know, I think what we want to do, because we, you know, it's so easy to get choked up, and we could talk for 3 hours and we'd go through 3 boxes of Kleenex, and we're talking about Lisa. But she also had this, you know, such playful side. How much she loved to do the things that her father did, the golf carts. You know, so many people, I can't tell you that, you know, when Axl Rose, who's the singer of Guns N' Roses, came and performed. And by the way, every single person who we asked to performed. And these were people who were on tour. These were some of the biggest music artists in the history of music. Combined, they had sold over 200 million records. And Lisa had touched each one of these people in such a different way, but so meaningful, that it wasn't a question, it wasn't where they were in the world, it's what they could and couldn't do, but they needed to be here for her. Because of, you know, they probably met her because she was Elvis's daughter, but they loved her, and I loved her, and Jerry loved her because she was Lisa Marie Presley.
Joel, I don't want everybody to think that I only have one coat and shirt, but
That's what I thought.
I wore this especially tonight because at the Formosa father's birthday is when Lisa asked me, would you walk me down the red carpet for the Golden Globes, which was 2 nights later. And I said, God, yes, I'd be honored. And as everybody saw that went viral around the world, the last time anybody saw Lisa, she was hanging on to this coat. And so I wanted to wear it tonight.
And I do have to say that in Lisa's entire life, I think the only person that she felt was truly there for her from her first remembrance to her last day was Jerry. There were people that came in and out of her life. There were very, 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 very few people in Elvis's life that Lisa ever connected with, that Lisa respected. And where that came from was Elvis. As a young child, she could see how Elvis treated people and who Elvis respected and who he didn't. And Lisa's respect for Jerry was almost like hardwired in because it came from Elvis, from her first memory on. And Lisa was a tough person. So, you know, not only is that hard to do if you do everything right, it's just, it's Jerry's strength of character, and from the first day to today, really caring about what Elvis would have wanted. And I think that's so important. So I'm reading this because I'm not Tom, and Tom could do a much better job, but here I am. One of the greatest moments in my life was actually co-producing with a beloved musician, producer, Elvis musician Andy Childs, a gospel record where I actually convinced Lisa to sing, by the way, not 1 but 2 songs. No one has ever heard the second song, but you will tonight. Hopefully it does not get up on Spotify or any other place like that, because it is just, believe it or not, for y'all for right now. But I remember when I obviously had done all of my homework and said, you know, I was real thoughtful about what I wanted her to duet with. It wasn't going to be the most famous gospel song. It wasn't going to be the song on the tip of everyone's tongue, but it was going to be a love affair that only could be between a father and a daughter. And when I looked at every song that Elvis had ever recorded in gospel, the first song that really stood out to me is Where No One Stands Alone. And in true Lisa form, I flew out to LA on an Easter Sunday, and I was so upset because In-N-Out is closed on Easter Sunday. I think I got a Shake Shack. But we brought Lisa into the studio, the same studio that Elvis did his audio recordings for the '68 special. And she's getting made in hair and makeup. I play her the song, and she literally goes to me, next. And I'm like, no. I'm not accepting that. This is the song that you want to sing to your dad, and your dad wants to sing to you. And somehow I got her over that hump, which is kind of shocking in and of itself when Lisa doesn't want to do something. And when you see in the video, halfway through she just breaks down and starts crying. And when she really got and started digesting the gravity, the gravitas of these words, it really spoke to her, it really meant something to her. And although I had put together the entire celebration, I left it up to Riley and Riley's dad, Danny, to pick the song that they wanted to begin the celebration. And this is the song that they picked, and it really, that made that day for me so much easier. So we're gonna play you the video.
Beautiful, Joel. Beautiful, Andy.
She has so much Presley in her, and when you see her from certain angles, and it was really a little difficult for me to watch Daisy Jones and the Six, because when they made Riley up to look older, it looked so much like her. And it was just so difficult to watch, but it was so great. And if you think you actually might see Riley on a stage sometime sooner rather than later, you might be correct with that.
That was awesome.
And also maybe singing a song at Graceland sooner rather than later. And Jerry, I think you have a friend coming on?
I have a dear friend. I don't need notes, but since Joel's using notes, I'm going to. I have the honor to introduce someone who I've known over a half a century. A true beauty, inside and out. A former Miss Memphis and Miss Tennessee, so you can see why Lisa gravitated to Linda. Her talents are numerous, from acting to being an extraordinary songwriter. She co-wrote with some of the great songwriters. And she was an Oscar and Grammy nominee for I Have Nothing, that was in The Bodyguard. Amazing Whitney Houston, and her mother used to sing with Elvis with the Sweet Inspirations. She has the greatest sense of humor and was always a breath of fresh air. Loved by everyone, especially Lisa, my dear friend, Linda Thompson.
Joel, you were saying that Lisa was so happy at Graceland, and I think that that was probably due to her connection to her daddy. You know, she connoted Graceland with her daddy. So when she was there, I think she felt his presence, as we all do. I know all of us, when we go to Graceland, feel Elvis's energy and his essence still there. He loved, loved, loved his home.
And you know, when Lisa talked about Graceland, and obviously the older she got, the more she remembered. When she talked about holidays at Graceland, it was always with Linda, discussing it with Linda, and often Linda in costume. So that's something that Linda can share with you that I won't, but I saw your reaction right there. So maybe Linda will talk to you about it.
Well, you know, Lisa was only 4.5 when I first met her, and cognizant memory doesn't really kick in until you're about 4.5, 5 years old. The things, if you look back on your life, you don't remember much until then. So I think that all of her memories of Christmas when she was a little girl with her daddy definitely included me. So I played Santa Claus to her. I played the Easter Bunny for her. And I loved her so dearly. She was the sweetest little girl. You know, I know that I've seen interviews since where she says she was a little hellion and she was a terror at Graceland. I never experienced that. For me, she was like a little blonde cherub, a little angel. She was always very loving. Elvis loved her immeasurably and showed that love. He demonstrated that love to her just very generously. We called her Little Goober Nickel. We had all these little pet names for her. And, he was very attentive and very tuned into her. And you were talking about how much Riley looks like Lisa at certain angles and how much Lisa looked like her daddy. I'll tell you a funny story. She was at my birthday party one year, and she said, "Linda, come to the restroom with me, as women do." I said, "Okay." So I'm in the restroom with her, and we're talking, and we're in close proximity to each other, and I'm looking at her eyes, and I said, "Okay, Lisa, you're either going to have to kiss me on the lips, or we got to get out of here. You look so much like your daddy right now." It was like looking into Elvis's eyes when I looked into her eyes. So she went, "Ew." And we laughed and went back to my birthday party. But, I'm so grateful that I got to share so many incredible times with her, and more importantly, so much love. It occurs to me that the only thing we really take with us when we go is love. And the only thing we leave of real, true value is love. when we go. So, and she's left that here. All of you are here because you loved her daddy. We're here because we love her and love her daddy. So it's kind of comforting to know that the love still lives on. You know, the body may be gone, but the love is forever.
You know, I think we all learned something at the celebration. I think there were so many smart people saying so many smart things. And I guess Fergie, the one thing that she said that really ties into that her mother-in-law had said, the Queen of England, is that grief is the price that we pay for love. If you're not willing to pay it, you're never going to have love. But if you have love, you're surely going to have grief. And Lisa was just, you know, meant something different to everybody. When I saw her profile sometimes, it was just eerie and scary. Although we had a brotherly and sisterly love, so we never went to the place where I wanted to kiss her. And it was funny because I remember when we did, you know, I came up with the concept for the chapel in the woods, and hopefully all of you all have visited it. Some of you got married, and in case you don't know, I actually got married in June at Graceland.
I was there.
My beautiful wife was over there, who happens to also be pregnant.
Thank you.
And you know, we felt always so much love, even from the first time I brought her here during COVID, during birthday. She could feel the love and the closeness, and you know, the times that she spent with Lisa. You know, one of the saddest things, you know, both my parents died in the last 3 or 4 years. My dad about a year ago, and my mom about 3.5 years ago. But at my wedding, the thing I was saddest about was that Lisa couldn't be there. Because I know she would have been there, and she would have been just, you know, pushing me around and busting my chops a little bit. But, you know, you know, grief is the price we pay for love. And Lisa just had, you know, when she loved you with everything. And she loved her dad. And, you know, I remember the first time, and I want to say it was Angie, give Angie credit. That when she saw her exhibition, which is right here, and she saw the sign about saying, where her dad said the most important thing he had ever done in his entire life was to have Lisa. And she had gone about 45 years in life with never having heard that from her dad. And she could remember things, but you can't remember things like that when you're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old. And I remember how moving that was to her, where she almost fell. You know, you could tell that she missed a couple of steps after that because it was so moving. But it's just, you know, incredible. And, you know, almost all, you know, she said the best times of her life she remembers were at Graceland. And around those times when she was here, Linda and Elvis were the people who were there with her. So I can't overstate the importance of that and how memorable and moving that was.
I'm so happy that she got to understand that, because, you know, you talk about all the loves of Elvis, she was the love of his life. Lisa Marie Presley was absolutely the love of Elvis's life. And most of us parents feel that way. My sons are the loves of my life. And Elvis was the romantic love of my life. But, you know, I think we all feel that as parents, and you're about to experience that, Joel, when your little baby comes.
In theory, that is going to happen, yes. You know, it's and you know, and I can't wait to spend many of those memorable times here, and telling my children about Lisa, because I think that she was such a big figure, and you know, in only the 6 or 7 years that I knew her, how close we became. And again, just she was for me, with only 1 or 2 exceptions, really the voice in my head about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, where we're going to do it. Because it is so important. If Elvis didn't want it, we're not doing it. We don't care how much money there is in it. We've been offered the dumbest deals in the world, but they just don't make sense, or they're not authentic to who Elvis was. And even if I would have thought about it for a second, Lisa would have screamed at me. I remember the last time we got in a fight, and I was just listening, because I said, you know, this is her time to go off on me, to yell at me. And literally at the end she goes, so why aren't you talking? I'm like, okay, because I'm listening. And I said, Lisa, you know, I love you to death, but if you don't want me to help you here, she goes, I didn't say that. You know, so, but, you know, she really, you know, she was such a loving person. She gave so much love to her children. And I love to be surrounded by people, especially, you know, tonight I think is going to be very difficult for a lot of people. It's going to be very difficult for me. This is the first candle lighting where we're also going to, you know, say hey to Lisa. We're going to walk by her grave. And she is so, so important to the DNA here that, as I said, you know, when she passed away, her voice is never, ever, ever going to be silenced. It's going to be amplified. The things that she wanted are the things that Elvis would want, and those are the things that we're always going to do at Graceland.
And that is a comfort to know that you are overseeing that, and that you're. I just said to someone backstage, you know, I was just pleasantly surprised, you know, having gotten to know you a bit. Your heart is so expansive, and your heart is totally in the right place when it comes to Elvis and to Lisa Marie. So I feel totally comforted and trusting in your knowledge and in your discernment and the choices that you're making, Joel. So we appreciate you.
Thank you. Can I have a moment where both of you have a shared experience of a moment of Lisa? Can we think back to a time where you were both, it was at Graceland, was it somewhere else?
It would have to be at
We
Graceland.
spent a lot of time together at Graceland with Lisa.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of moments. Can you?
A shared moment? You weren't in the bathtub with us, were you, when we were taking
No, no.
bubble baths? Lisa and I used to love to take bubble baths together, because she was this little grom, you know. She said, Linda, let's take a bubble bath. So we were in Lake Tahoe, and we had this huge tub that would have fit 3 or 4 people, and it happened to be in our suite, Elvis and me. And Elvis would always receive lots of roses from the fans. Thank you very much. And so Lisa and I said, let's pull the rose petals off and put them in the bathtub with the bubbles. And that's what we did. We made quite the mess.
No, I wasn't there.
You weren't there for that. Just wanted to check. You never know.
We were real close, but you know.
And how about, so when was the first time, does anyone remember the first time that Lisa got her golf cart on?
Golf
the
golf carts.
Oh my God. God.
Well, she used to ride around on the golf carts before she got her very own personalized golf
That's
cart.
what I was going to say, because
Yeah.
what I remember is she got this from her father, the love of golf carts. And her father was so comfortable here at Graceland that, you know, we'd get up middle day and we'd have breakfast and be in our pajamas, you know, just, you know, and a few, you know. And Elvis one day got in the golf cart and he was still in his pajamas, and we came out to the back and we're driving down, we're out on Elvis Presley Boulevard. I said, Elvis, you're in your pajamas. And he said, well, what the hell? This is my boulevard. So I think that kind of attitude trickled down to his daughter, because even, you know, she loved it. She, you know, Elvis always had a dangerous side. He was James Dean in the beginning.
As did Lisa.
And Lisa got that from her father. She was, when Linda say she was a little rebel.
She was
back in the
daring on
Graceland
those golf
days.
carts, for sure. She rolled it one time. It just went
Yeah.
right down the hill.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it didn't hurt her. But yeah, she did have a little daring streak. So if she described herself as a hellion at all, it was on that golf cart.
The golf cart segue is we're going to play a short piece of the Elvis by the Presleys, which really is just a great home movie of things that happened at home that I know I enjoy every time I see it. So let's.
Joel, do you know that I did this interview with Lisa? The producers asked me if I would, because everybody was a Presley family in it, and would I do the interviews where the family, hopefully, would feel comfortable. And the first interview I did was in New York with Lisa, and I walked in, she doesn't like to do interviews, as you guys know. She said, Jerry Schilling, I'm doing this for you.
I definitely got that a few times that she was doing things for me. But when she smiled at the end of it, you knew it was she was doing it for herself, so it was okay.
Of course.
Great, so let's see that.
Graceland was always very alive. It had an energy and there was always something happening, and it was a lot of life in that house. The family life usually included, if you saw the scenes from Nutty Professor, the family scenes, it was kind of similar to that in nature in terms of, it was very funny, the arguing, and it was silly, and that's kind of what is normal. Did I think I was in charge? Pretty much, I was when he was asleep, which would be most of the day till about 4 or 5 in the afternoon. Oh, I was a little tomboy, you know. I wore the same pants for a week, or my jeans cut off shorts, and that was pretty much, I never took a bath. The only person who'd get me in the tub was my dad. You know, it'd get me to actually go and run to the bathtub, because I knew I wouldn't get away with that. The cameras in the house, and you'd see a red light go on, and it would scan the room, and you knew he was looking to see who was downstairs before he came downstairs. There's a stairwell that's right near the kitchen, and you could hear him. And then all of a sudden you'd hear these chains rattling and coming, all this commotion coming down the steps, and you know he's coming, and I'd usually be doing something I shouldn't have been doing, and I would be hiding, and he'd somehow know where I was. It was always very exciting when he'd come down the steps. Libertyland used to be, it was the closest thing to Disneyland Memphis ever came to, so I think I wanted to go there, and he shut it down one night. We went. We would stay there all night, riding roller coasters over and over and over and over all night long. The roller coaster would go up to the highest point, and then he would get out of it. By the time it came back around, he'd be gone, and make everybody panic. If you felt like going for a ride on the golf cart, come get me and take me. I remember being in golf cart convoys, and with him driving, which was a nightmare. If he was leading, it was very possible that he would take you out the front gate and get you on Elvis Presley Boulevard and go down the street with them and never get pulled over for some reason. There was enough for everyone. I was about 12. And then when I was, I believe 7, he got me my own with my name on it. I could run through the fence. I could decapitate a golf cart. I could take the hood off by running under a tree. I could go through the fence and it would get fixed within 3 days. Because I was always on my golf cart. That was where I was to be found at all times. And I remember that it was parked right near the studs, and I stepped on it, you know, to go forward, and it was in reverse. And I went flying backwards, and I just came to nick the very end of his studs. And I thought, I'm dead. That was drawing the line. If I ran into his car, that was where I really had some sort of leash on me. That was always very nerve-wracking to be walking up the steps when he'd call for me, because I didn't know if I was in trouble or if everything was okay or if he was just, you know. And I walked up the steps and he reprimanded me and he gave me a pat on the knee. And I just looked at him and I started crying, because any kind of reprimand from him just was like my whole world would cave in. Typically I'd say my prayers with him and then he'd sing to me, or if he reprimanded me and felt bad because of that, he sang Can't Help Falling in Love with this some kind of big dog, but puppet, and, you know, woke me up saying that because he felt bad.
That's what my little daughter says. My little daughter goes around and says, "Hey Elvis, what you gonna do?" So swear to God, 6 years old. Hey Elvis. I said, "Honey, I'm your daddy. Don't call me." Hey, okay, Elvis.
I would do that because they'd just be like, Elvis! They'd be yelling like that all the time, and so I started doing that to him, all the women and stuff. They would be yelling that, so he got the biggest kick out of it when I would do it. There was no difference between his image and who he was, except for that who he was even more important and bigger than his image. He wasn't something that was, always will be.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
So, our next guest, I don't want to say I had to twist his arm, but I had to twist his arm. And when we talk about family, you know, there's family that you choose and family that you're born into. And this is somebody that is actually Elvis's second cousin, I believe, and obviously related to Lisa as well. He has been working at Graceland with his wife forever and a day, and everyone who's come to Graceland will know Jimmy Gamble. So, Regina, can you push Jimmy on the stage? Hello, everybody. So, Jimmy is very quiet, so Regina said, you're going to have to lead him on everything, aren't you? And then she went into the things that I shouldn't talk about, which included actually, you basically met Regina at Graceland, correct?
I did.
And they had their courtship at Graceland, which means that they were everywhere at Graceland. So I won't get into any more great detail than that, but Jimmy, I mean, you are so important to the Graceland family. Lisa loved you. Lisa loved your mom. I mean, really, I know she, even to the end, whenever Patsy was able, she really wanted to have those conversations. I want to say that from the Graceland family, from the Memphis family, that she probably felt closest to Patsy of anyone.
I think so, yeah. Growing up on the grounds of Graceland, I was there for a time, Lisa was really little, and so I just had to be one of the people who rode Lisa on golf carts until she got her own at I think around 7. I can't imagine turning my 7-year-old loose on a golf cart. But anyway, so going through, thinking of all the different memories, I had just so many. But Lisa, as Lisa grew up, we were 5 years apart. So as she grew up and had a family, children, and we, me and Regina had our kids, and so Lisa would come back to Graceland or Christmas or different times of the year, and so anyway, we would have dinner in the mansion, and one of the things that I thought was really neat and kind of we thought about one night, we were all sitting around, and the kids are just running wild, through the house playing, and Lisa said, I guess that's what it was like whenever we were doing this in front of our parents. And so that was real special to us to have those times. And then, she, in the summertime, she would come, when she was, before she got married, she'd come and hang out with my mother for months at a time. And so anyway, they would stay up all night watching scary movies and things like that. But she was really, my mother was a second mother to her. So, and then we went, she got married and had kids, and then, us spending the time together, whether it was her coming to town or us going to California, visiting her, there were so many great memories. But, all the time she's like, trying to get my mother to go, where's Patsy? And so we got her to go a few times with us too. So that was some really, really great times for us. And I had a lot of really good memories.
So, one of the things that the coolest and most interesting experiences that I think I had with Lisa in the mansion was a number of years ago when we were all sitting with her kids, with Ben was there, the twins were there, and we were with Angie, and we were sitting in the jungle room, and she asked Angie to get her dad's black box. And the interesting thing is every single person in Elvis' life that I talk about that goes, oh my God, the black box, because he took it with him everywhere. And even though she was a mom and she, hey, don't do this, hey, don't do that, hey, if someone's asking for something, Angie brought the box, she was on the ground, she opened up the box, and she instantly put it back to being 5 or 6 years old. And it was the most incredible thing. And every single time I've been to the mansion since she passed away, she's there. She's sitting there looking at me. And there were things that could make her come back to her childhood. And because those were the most innocent, pure, greatest memories of her life, I think that's what she got from Graceland. She got back a bit of her childhood. Is there anything that you remember once she came as an adult? And by the way, before the hotel was built, you know, and let's lay this out. Graceland is a bunch of wood, okay? And it's an old house. And Lisa used to stay upstairs, especially around Christmas, before we got the hotel, and we walked her away from that. And I think we all were on fire watch. So I think we were all like, she's smoking, something's gonna happen. We were all there, and we were like, you know, and I'm like, you know, everything okay, Lisa? Everything okay, Lisa? But you have to have so many memories. Is there something that you would remember when she came back, of food she wanted to eat, you know, something that you remember?
Well, when she came back, she always wanted to get, you know, the cooks to come in, who, you know, the ones over the years that were, you know, still alive. She'd bring them in and cook for her. And so she always wanted, you know, the Southern food. She loved that because she said she didn't get it anywhere else, didn't get it in California. So that would be, you know, that would be the thing to her, to come to Graceland and just get together with family and get a great meal and visit, you know, with the cooks and, you know, everybody else. But it meant so much, Graceland did. You know, I always used to tell her, you know, I said, Lisa, you know, I'm there, and if you need anything, let me know, you know, and I will watch after it, you know, just like you and your daddy would want it done. And so I feel blessed to be, you know, been here as long as I have working, and I've always tried to maintain things and do like Lisa would, you know, be proud of. You know, just a lot of, it's hard to keep from getting emotional.
Emotion's good, Jimmy. And what Joel was talking about earlier, the heart and soul of what keeps the wood and everything so special is people like Jimmy. And I loved your mother as well. I actually interviewed her for Elvis by the Presley. I think the only interview she ever did, and she trusted me.
Yeah,
and,
yeah, she did. She wanted you to
you
interview
and
her.
your wife and everybody. So it's such an honor to be on the stage with you. That's the day-to-day workhorse.
And when we talk about family, you know, the entire Graceland family, Katrine, Regina, and Jimmy, this place would not run without. You know, they are here, you know, they'll be here until 2 o'clock in the morning. They'll be here tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, it's really amazing. And, you know, Jimmy will be here for as long as he wants. And they're just, you know, this place runs because of them.
Well, thank you, Joel. And thank you. That means a lot. And I know there's a lot of things that have got accomplished here, you know, over the years since you've been here that I know Elvis and Lisa both will be proud of, and you know, it's just a blessing to be here. You know, one thing, you know, after she passed away, I got to thinking of that what kind of brought a smile to my face was I recall we were somewhere one time and I was off on the side of the room, and she said, "Come here, Jimmy Gamble." And so I got over there, and then she was just, that laugh of hers, she had the greatest laugh. And when she did that, she just laughed at me after doing that. "What are you doing?" And so that just, you know, it made me happy thinking of her, that laugh, you know, when she's happy.
It's I just she was infectious to everyone around her, and the people that are here are the people that she cared about, and it's celebrating her. So I want to I forgot something because it wasn't on my list, but and again, where did I get this idea? I got this idea from Elvis. So when Lisa passed away, we asked in lieu of flowers to make a donation to Elvis Presley Foundation. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars have come in, really from all over the globe. When Kim and I got married, we asked for everyone to make a donation in lieu of giving us anything to the Elvis Presley Foundation, and people were very, very generous with that. As many of you know, Elvis would make a habit during Christmas of giving $1,000 each to 50 local Memphis charities. And in Lisa's honor, and this is just the first part of it, we're going to be donating $100,000 to 19 local Memphis area charities and to the Red Cross of Maui. And you can see that. If you're in the audience and you're from Memphis and your charity wasn't listed, I'm sure you can reach out to me. And there will be a lot more where that comes from. We're really, especially within Whitehaven, we're really, really committed to making sure that we uplift the neighborhood. So if if you'd like to donate $5 or $10 or $20 or whatever you'd like to the Elvis Presley Foundation, it will do a lot of good. So thank you very much for everyone who did donate. So I'm going to intro. When we did the Lisa exhibition, Lisa was kind enough to do a little video. So let's have a little bit more of Lisa.
I walked in yesterday and I was a bit overcome by, I don't even know how to explain it, to sort of capsulize your childhood, in one room. I was a little overwhelmed. I had to gasp. It's amazing to have that, be able to have that, all the things from when you were, to have somebody even still have them in possession and walk into a room that's basically a time capsule. It's nice. The thing that struck me the most when I walked in was seeing my golf cart key. And it's just completely worn out. Like, that was the key to my life. It's in a little box over here. And I haven't seen it in probably 30 years. So to see it, and it was like sort of the key to my freedom, my demons, and my and my friends, and my having fun when I was here, was to get the key to my own golf cart. You can barely understand that it says my name on it because I just wore it out. It was always on me at all times. I was really overwhelmed at seeing that, I think. I really appreciate that. I do know that is something that you could never get. No one has the great fortune to be able to have your whole life encapsulated the way this is. It's a little bit like Sesame Street, this is your life. When I walk in here, I feel really blessed and fortunate that I can have that, because if anybody's nostalgic for their childhood or their past, I know that I'm fortunate because people are looking out for all the things that were once mine or his, and I have it here, and I'm forever grateful that we have that.
So thank you, Jimmy. And the next time you see him on the ground, give him a hug. Unless you're a pretty young woman, Regina might be upset, but we'll figure it out. So speaking of exhibitions, and what's really important is Lisa always wanted her things to be at Graceland. And when she passed away, our resident expert extraordinaire, our archives extraordinaire, VIP tour guide extraordinaire, probably has spent pretty much 99% of her adult life at Graceland. Angie Marchese is going to come out, and we are going to talk about the future of Lisa's exhibitions.
Hi.
Hi.
So when Lisa passed away, and they were trying to figure out what to do with all of her things, Riley made the one phone call to Graceland And that call was obviously and only to Angie. And so throughout her life, she knew that all of her things belonged here. They had always belonged here. They were always going to be here. So it's important that we honor her with those wishes, that we expand on what we've been doing, because she never wanted it to be too big. She never wanted it to be about herself. So we're just going to stretch that a little bit. And the first question that I will ask that Angie can answer to everybody is, where the heck is the swing set?
Okay. For long-term preservation of the swing set, it needed a lot of conservation work done on it. So we took it down about a month ago to start doing some preservation work on it. We were in hope to have it back before Elvis week. It literally got finished 2 days ago. And so it will be back up on property next week, looking better than ever.
Great. So, you know, I think it's important, you know, obviously Graceland is, you know, the center of the universe for all things Elvis. But we also like to go out to people who maybe can never get to Graceland. And, you know, I'm sure, how many people here are from Australia? We love our Aussies. How many people are here from the UK? There you go. It's, you know, anywhere else, actually, UK is not really in Europe anymore, so how about Europe? There you go. Okay. So we really are blessed that y'all can be able to make it, but you know, we actually had an exhibition about 1.5 years ago in Victoria, in Australia, in the middle of nowhere, and it was the largest exhibition in the middle of nowhere that the middle of nowhere ever had, which is, with no, I apologize to Victoria, but that's Victoria. So, and it was even in the middle of nowhere in Victoria. We're actually opening up an exhibition in London in October?
In October.
As well as we're going to have 7 Elvis and the Royal Philharmonic shows at arenas throughout the UK, culminating in Halloween Day, which I'm not allowed to go to according to Kim, because Kim loves Halloween and so I can't go. But I will be in Manchester. I will be in a few of the other shows. So Angie, let's talk about the future of Lisa's exhibitions.
So we've talked about it since her passing of what we can do here. That exhibit that we just saw a video of, I can remember when I first came up with that concept and I approached her about it, and her reply was, no one wants to see an exhibit about me. And I was like, we're gonna take a look at, the way I convinced her to do it was, I told her we were gonna take a look at her life, but her dad's life through her eyes, what she saw, what she remembered. And that kind of got her over the hump and allowed us to put that amazing exhibit together. And then we revised it and opened up another one here, Growing Up Presley, in the complex. And we're gonna be expanding on that idea in the same space. We're gonna make it twice its size. And we're going to include lots of things that we have, not only in the archives, but things that are currently in LA that will be making their way back here.
You know, Angie is the rock and roll Smithsonian. When there's things that I don't know or I say incorrectly, I look to Angie and she tells me about myself. You know? And we know her professionalism, we know her great work, but there was a real love between her, Lisa, and Paula, and I believe Lisa was her godmother. So it's a real personal and professional thing, and you know, just thanks for all you do, Angie.
Thank you.
And when Lisa didn't want me to know that she was coming to Graceland, which is about every 3rd visit, she would basically call Angie up, and she would tell Angie, and she'd say, "Don't tell Joel."
Exactly.
And you know, listen, the type of relationship we all have is that I was perfectly fine with that. This is her home. Graceland was her home. If she wanted me to know, it's great. If she didn't want me to know, it's great. If she wanted to do certain things, then I had to be involved. But that only happened 9 or 10 times. So it was okay. But Angie really is, you know, when we talk about Jimmy and Regina, who are really the lifeblood of making sure that Graceland runs, Angie is the person that makes sure it's hers. You know, if you look at the exhibitions, I'll come up with a crazy idea and say, how about 100 outfits? And where do we put it? And I said, can we have it in 13 days? So I tend to be the unrealistic one, and Angie somehow turns my fantasies into realities as it relates to exhibitions. But it's just, again, it's family, it's people who care. I can tell you that, you know, Riley has picked up exactly where Lisa left off. You know, Angie is family. Angie's the one who won't tell Joel. It's all going to be okay. But you know, the best is yet to come for Graceland. When you look at the things, the buildings that we build in the next several years, the project that we do, you know, I looked at the guest house as wish fulfillment because Elvis always wanted a guest house. We've got something else coming right down the pike that is something else that Elvis really wanted that Jerry doesn't even know exactly what it is.
Tell me.
If I whisper it to you now, you promise you won't tell anybody?
I promise.
There you go. I do get in trouble a lot. Somehow I'm not supposed to get in trouble, and I get in trouble because I just talk too much. I have all these things that I want to share with everybody. But there's going to be also an amazing network Christmas special that will be at Graceland, and although she might be mad at me for saying there may be a family member involved, on top of a lot of superstar musical acts that I can't wait for. And you know, if you happen to come around somehow between Thanksgiving and a week to 10 days afterwards, and you start to see all these superstars there, I didn't say anything. So, but we've got a whole bunch of great projects happening. I can say every Elvis or Graceland project that I can think of has a Presley name attached to being a real part of it, not just by name, but by real input. Everything that we're involved in, everything that the estate is involved in, and you know, and we couldn't be happier. So I can't force anybody, but I'm going to ask you all. So we're literally showing you the second song that Lisa did that nobody knows about. It is a song some of you may know called "You'll Never Walk Alone." And I'll tell you, she was tired at the end of the day when she did this song, and I think it spoke to her. And this is not a final cut of anything. So I would appreciate you with the pink phone, and I know you, and everyone else, if we could not record this. I can't. We miss you, Lisa. So please, when you come up tonight, make sure you say hey to Lisa. I'm sure she'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.